This is the third time I'm trying to record this. Oh, it's not like, oh, camera died or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, actually, let me go into a little detail. That is literally the running gag of my show. Let me go into detail. Let's do a little history. But for real, my original video was called Why H2O Just Add Water is Still Better Than H2O, the animated version. I will still make that portion. I got in contact by this guy here, girl. I'm sorry if I misgendered you, for real. I don't think we actually talked about that. And they were talking in my comment section. At first, being sarcastic, I took it literal. The conversation began. So I'm also gonna have this person here because they came in a little while later. So thanks for the questions, and also thank you for answering them. I know shit was flying. So here's the thing. The animated version was not supposed to be on Netflix. A lot of shit behind the scenes kind of ruined the show. Not kinda, did ruin the show. It was supposed to be a lot darker, and it was supposed to be for 15 plus. Oh, okay. The show is 15 plus, those of you who have not seen it. No, you're wrong. If you thought that, you're mistakenly wrong. You are very mistakenly wrong. Also, if my camera goes black sometimes, I'm working on it. I apologize. I really am trying to work on that. But let's go to the beginning. Let's go to where it sort of all began. In this scenario, let's say this, because they even talk about it. You are just out of art school. You go into a career that you think will help you. Little did you know, it's gonna be the biggest dumpster fire that you probably don't even want to put on your resume. Actually, I don't know, did you? I'm curious, did you? I wouldn't, but at the same time, it gets you more into the field, I guess. Well, I guess it did. So, in this particular time, the animation people behind the scenes were trying to think of something close to the series, you know? It's a French anime sort of deal. It's the French animation, and the characters based off of how they're designed. Because I thought, okay, Ricky from the show, Emma from like the red hair from the original show, and then Cleo. I still don't know what Cleo, because like the personalities were kind of there, but you know, like they would either be very cardboard, or it would be like, what are you doing, like how's this legal, you know? So what they originally were supposed to be was the Little Mermaid, which, okay, I get it, no green tail, but that doesn't matter, I guess. Goldilocks, which I was like, but she looks like Ricky, but her name is Emma. Yeah, I actually don't. I actually didn't ask why the name changes were there. I think it was just, who cares? It's one of those blonde hair girls. And then Cleo was supposed to be the Japanese version of Alice in Wonderland. Put up a picture of Japanese Alice in Wonderland, because I didn't know that was a thing. Like, I got Alice in Wonderland was different, but I didn't know like there were so many different versions, I guess. Which, hey, and also the theme song of this series, I'm gonna play like a bit. I know I'll probably get claimed or whatever, but I want you guys to listen to that one. The poor person who's singing the Japanese version of this song, she's like trying to keep up, and I'm so sorry, because like the American version, the French version, even the South Korean version that I found, like they sound like they're keeping tempo up. but I'm going off topic. Let's actually dive into it a little bit more. So I started making my thing back in February, so it's been a while. I originally had it made then, but more information came out now, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was my issue. Kinda, not really. Also, I had other videos to make, so there's that too. So, what was supposed to be all in this? Well, a few things like LGBTQ, because 15 plus, death, divorce. Like, the live action H2O Just Add Water actually went into divorce a bit and how it affects the family. But this one, going into how death affects people, LGBTQ, and so forth. Now, the conversation didn't really go into how deep the LGBTQ was going to go, if any of the characters were going to be at any point. But I do believe, somewhere or another, there might have been, passing characters, friends. Maybe one of the girls gets asked by another girl. Maybe the other girls have feelings for each other. Who knows? We'll never fucking know. Something, interesting like that. Why the fuck not? That's interesting, but the executives are like, no kid's going to get that. That's too hard on their baby brains. When you got shows like Steven Universe, Danny Phantom, even shows that got canceled for trying to do it, like Good Luck Charlie, Miraculous Ladybug, and Adventure Time even went into issues of that. And they were for kids 11 and under. Why did you think this was a good idea again? So realize this as well. Because these executives did not think these kids could handle something like the LGBTQ, I kind of want to know a few things, because there are kids that live with same-sex parents, or they themselves are trying to figure out what they are. Some shows actually do help a little bit, but some of them figure it out on their own. A show like that would have helped some kids realize, hey, maybe I'm this, or hey, that seems acceptable. I accept that. What do you think? I kind of just now am thinking of oh God, what would this show have been if say Ricky and Emma got together, or Ricky and Cleo, or Cleo is asked out by another girl, or I'll have to talk about that in a minute, because there was a surprise in there. I'm going to talk more about what Netflix had done, more, not behind the scenes, but what is very clearly visible. This show was actually not supposed to be the 12 episodes. It was supposed to be, Just Add Water, 26 episodes per season. Now, if it was 26 per season, I would have been hell yeah, you got me a little bit interested, especially for how season 2 ended. It got me pretty interested, because how, keeping, the suspense for the second season can lead more into people wanting to see the second season. It didn't, because of how the show actually was, but if you're trying to go towards the show, kind of look at the footsteps that they went in. Either you follow them, or you follow them to an extent. Don't go all the way. Wait, sex joke. I'm kidding. So, with that being said, why were they shortened down? I don't fucking know. I guess when you're popular with the first season for some time, you get a second season, and that warrants that. How about for the people that actually watch this, China, Scotland, South Korea, those places where it was popular? I don't think they continued on. They didn't continue on. But the issue I'm having here is that while those were popular, and in America it was kind of popular for a short amount of time, until people kind of realized, this show is this way, and the comment section on my video won't shut the fuck up about how it's so much better than live action. I'm live action, actual disaster, breakups, divorce, talk about like what they're gonna do in life, how this affects them, emotional turmoil, running away, and then like how it affects people, how people are affected by your actions and stuff like that. What did this other one go? We got a good scene with like Emma and her dad. Like, for real, that's the only good thing I can remember, is that, oh yeah, and remember Lewis, like the heartfelt sensation with the first season of the live action version with Lewis and Cleo? Oh yeah, this one? Fuck off. I actually keep forgetting that Lewis is in that one, because sometimes he's here, and then the other times he's like, gone, bye, have a good one. I'm still getting off topic because I'm so fucking teed. The more I talk about it, the more angry I get. You know what I mean? So, if it wasn't supposed to be 2 seasons, and they were supposed to be more seasons, possibly, what was it supposed to be? I was supposed to be 4 seasons, a movie, and based on a video game as well. So, like, holy hell, they thought that far ahead, like this was going to be the next hottest show? Yeah, they did. Because especially with what they were going off of, yeah, that most likely would have gotten 4 seasons, 26 episodes. You know, like the anime that you were trying to represent, the anime that you were trying to base your shit off of too. No, we have to do 12 episodes and have it be like the most bland cardboard shit, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and also, this so-called movie, or even in the seasons, there was supposed to be a male mermaid. Mako Mermaid. I actually don't know if that was, like, the Evolve Around, but he was supposed to join in on them, like, be a part of the group, which, maybe he was supposed to be for Lewis. I actually kind of would want to see that. That's different. Let me see that shit. You don't show us that shit. Could you at least given it to, like, Scotland, South Korea, or China at least? Actually, don't give it to China. I don't think it's legal in China. Some places still don't like that sort of stuff, but still, I would have been a lot more interested, and I actually probably would have watched it in a subbed version, because local weeb here. Local weeb here. Now, let's talk about a little bit about what the plot was supposed to be more of, besides like having ties of divorce, death, LGBTQ. So, in all essence, in the show, there was a white mermaid, and the girls are all majestic to her, or like look in awe at her in the show that we have now. What if I told you the white mermaid was close to someone and was actually related to someone? Like, not just, oh, it's a mermaid who was, you know, around town or whatever. That could have been interesting too. No, what if I told you the white mermaid is Ricky's mom? Biological mom. How? I don't fucking know. We never get it. Wouldn't that have been interesting? Because she is also like supposed to be like the mother helpful figure in here. And I also did get clarification that the animal talking is better for like the, was better for how they wanted to. Because I know like the live action one, it would have been kind of weird, but at the same time it's been done before, but it still looks awkward. In animation form, like, it would have been fine if they were side characters that got little time and we focused more on our other characters, or even if you didn't put them at all, or if it was like for shit that needed help, you know. I guess my argument probably would have been still like, you ungrateful little hermit crab, you only come from when shit happens, you never come to say hi once in a while. But like, you could have, but you know, it's one of those things where you gotta keep looking at it and be like, this was a show that had potential, but the executives did not take the bull by the horns and say, let's do this. Let's take this series that is got all this shit in front of us. We can either use it and go along with the animation, because like animation is not the best, but at the same time, it's like, story can go a million miles, like, an hour. Like, if you have a good story, I don't care about the fucking animation then. But you don't have anything with the story. Because how everything is, you didn't even deserve a second season. That's how shitty you were. So, with this White Mermaid, they probably would have gone, like, more deep, philosophical adventures. Is that how you say it? Philosophical adventures. There would have been, like, talks about everything. Maybe they would have gone into more, like, Mako. You know that ruin place that they found the ship at? Let's go into detail about that. How did she get there? Does she want to be freed? If she doesn't, is she helping other mermaids? Is she just here for her daughter? Or is she here now? Like, for what reason is she here? There's also ruin places in this underwater, like, area because Ricky has something happen to her. So what is this place? What's it around? Also, Mako, you know the big place that was, like, in the live action show? Does it have something to do with this? Or is it just a place for mermaids to hang out, but there's more around? Like, it used to be, like, kind of like Atlantis or something like that. Like, holy hell, could it have been like Atlantis? You'll never know. I keep bending like this, emphasizing that we'll never know. At all. We'll never know. Because guess what? Executive Netflix over here decided to put their foot down. Let me just go into a little bit more, like, a more backstory to when this was being pitched, okay? So, Nickelodeon, remember that show that was one of your highest grossing live action little series? The one that kind of set foot for others, you know, because, like, what was popular at the time? iCarly. Drake and Josh was still there, you know, like, Zoe 101 had gone down, but, like, it was more towards when Nick at Night would happen. So that series was, like, more set on the boundary, because they had live action shows too. But this show had gotten them more interest because it was, like, fantasy. It was the drama with the girls, and mermaids, especially with the first season, got them interesting. And the show was so popular that from fans, it got a third season. And I will go into detail about more of that too in the other version. Don't worry, I'm not just gonna be like, here I am talking about this other show that's great, and then, like, I don't have, like, another video coming. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. You weren't asking for it. I'm kidding. So, with that popular show, kind of like how Winx was, like, they brought Winx back into a reboot stage, and then they put it out there, and it was popular for that time. Just how, like, you lost Adventure Time, and it was a great loss. Instead, you got Fanboy and Chum Chum, which was, I mean, Fanboy and Chum Chum was alright, but still. They didn't want this. They didn't want something that could have been the predecessor to a very popular show at the time. Big fucking mistake, but at the same time, it's kind of like the good work, guys. We didn't have a fucking disaster. If, like, this is also the time whenever, you know, this lady, I'm putting her somewhere. She's somewhere on the screen. Whenever people kind of hated her because of how everything was at the time. So, okay, we can't get it to Nick. Why don't we go to Disney? Disney kind of don't want that. They're still kind of doing the live action sort of deal, but they don't really want that. Cartoon Network didn't really want that. Who do we go to? Okay, Netflix. Okay, cool, Netflix. You'll take us in. What do you want from us? To change our whole script? Not only that, but whenever they would change scripts and stuff on the voice actors, you get scenes like this.
You got that right. Between the three of us, we put a whooping on those bullies.
Yeah. A lot of the voice actors had some issues, but from what they could, because it is, like, kind of like how Japanese voice actors have to try and like make the lip sync or the lines try and match up with the Japanese one. They had to do it here, and sometimes it does not work. In some of the scenes, they talk on a little longer, or for how it's emphasized, it's not emphasized enough. But I can't argue for what they were given because it was changed. It was dubbed over. They just had to be there and try their best, pretty much. And I feel sorry for the animation team because it'd be like, okay, sir, we have this scene here where, you know, like, it's a life or death situation. Someone may die. I don't like that. But, sir, we have it right here, ready to go, and it's fully colored. No, change it. There's no life or death situation. Look at how it's gonna go here. It's supposed to go where Sally ends up with Jake, and not Jake dying in the last scene. Yes, sir. Like, I think that's how it went. I honestly believe that's most likely how it went. Like, but also, remember how I said they were supposed to be anime inspired? Well, guess what? They were also supposed to have, like, different characteristics. You know, Cleo, who's the animal lover. Well, she's actually supposed to be, like, the artsy kind of, I guess, kind of hipster-like way, because she's in music, art. Ricky's of course, the laid-back chick. She's supposed to be, like, the gamer girl. She's supposed to be, like, all tough and shit. Emma was supposed to be, like, the fashionista, the romantic type. Oh, besides that, you know how, I think they actually tried to put that in this series because they made her into the romanticizing of ABC Gum. Oh, I remember that scene. Still gives me nightmares to this day. This is afterwards, so don't worry. So this is for after this. I'm saying this now to anyone else who has questions. I'll try and help. Like, I'll try and help and talk about this because I actually want to debate over, like, why people still like the show. Because I'm still getting, like, people being like, because different character arcs, whatever. Like, that's fine. That's not what I had the issue with. The issue I had was because they tried to go off this series, but also tried to be their own thing and not do neither. And that's what I had issue with, is I got that argument of, like, character arcs or development can be different, and I agree. Then I also get people saying, like, this is better than the live action, and I say, who are you? Where do you live? I will find you. Do not argue with me. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do shit like that. I'm kidding. But still, it's... because I have a migraine now. I have a migraine now for yelling, screaming, and moving around. I'm sorry, I still can't defend this show. Especially for what this shit was put through. From now, I say this. Do better. If this thing ever comes back, I hope it does better. I hope it's given something more. I hope people can just, like, look at a script, look at what people are trying to put out, and say, hey, I like that idea. Let's go with that. Or, hey, do you think we can change little things, not the whole fucking script? I'm going to talk about, like, another series that I'm working on that deals with something along with this. Three Tails movie that has no plot. Again, mermaid series, because I thought it would tie in beautifully. It's not here, but I thought it would tie beautifully because it's about these kids who, like, again, like, it's heavily influenced on H2O and all that jazz. They have a general plot, but the plot isn't fleshed out because, you know, they started when they were kids. But as they grew older, they tried to make the plot more. Well, in this scenario, I kind of find it the same. The movie and the show are fucking garbage. One is being written, drawn, voiced over to hell and back just to fit a kid-friendly version. This one here, the people who write the script are trying, but they don't know how to make the plot fully connect, leaving loose ends even though it's a movie that anyone can see, along with this TV show. Now, when you have H2O, you think that maybe this plot is different, or it's a continuation, or even a reboot. Why am I comparing the two together? Because, again, they're fucking garbage. But behind the scenes stuff has a lot of, like, shit that goes into it, like, that many people don't realize or think, oh, not a lot of shit goes into the behind the scenes stuff. It does. Like how some Disney movies take years and years to make, because they have to either go by a book, they have to go through executives, they have to go through producers, they have to go through like the animation team, and if anything happens in between, it takes longer. It takes time. Same with like voice acting. If like say a voice actor dies in the middle of this, like in the middle of like recording or whatever, who are you going to find, or are you going to manipulate their voice, or are you just going to leave them out altogether? In this scenario, for the animated series, when you keep changing the story and plot to where you want to just push it out and get it over with, that is saying something. Because a lot of the times, when first season goes, you either have a lot of people coming back, or if you're like the show, most of them want to go because there's so much that went behind the scenes at the very beginning. I can see if, say, like something happened with the footage to the point that they had to redo everything, and then that would be like the big thing of like, oh, pity this show. But it didn't. It was executives that wanted more kids to be interested in this. Let me tell you this too. Teen Titans, the original Teen Titans, not Go, but the original. I watched that when I was little. That deals with like trauma. That deals with like PTSD. That deals with like puberty and how like the world may see you. That deals with like family issues. That deals with discrimination. That deals with feeling different. And that show is highly acclaimed. That came back in like 2007 or whenever it came out. I watched that whenever I was a kid. And that show still resonates with me because it was deep. It had death of a main character that everyone felt for a while. You need to understand, and I'm not just talking about like to the people there. I'm talking to everyone who is thinking of a show. If you're thinking of making a show just for kids, whatever. But if you're gonna make a show for kids, actually have something like meaningful. Because if you're gonna treat kids like kids, then shit like this animated shit is gonna keep getting made to the point where kids shows are not gonna be taken seriously. If you're gonna make shows that are gonna deal with LGBTQ, divorce, death, and all of this, I think a lot of kids shows are gonna get better rap, and I think like many people are gonna take them more seriously. Because if you're gonna keep having fucking Dora the Explorer over here, yes, it teaches you something, but it's made fun of to hell and back because not only is it nothing, it's just there. Yeah, it's something people remember, but why do you remember it? Why? Because Dora sits in silence and waits for their child to respond. In this one, in this animated version, that's not the case. This is a story being told for pretty much, like, to tell a story. Regardless if it's a reboot or not. You could have had something so much more because of what you had, but you decided to dumb it down because you thought the kids wouldn't get it. Again, there are shows like this, like what you're talking about, that do fine. But there are shows that deal with the bigger picture. Because in 2016, it's a different time. This is not the 90s. This is not the early 2000s. Where people were still trying to figure out what stuff is. This is the time where people understand what gay, lesbian, bisexual is. They know what divorce is. Like how some of these kids deal with divorce all the time. There's also death. Kids deal with death too. Adults deal with death. And if the show could have taken death in an approach, I think it would have been great. I think the show could have had so much potential for what it had just in a little list in talking with this guy. Girl, whatever. I'm sorry, again. But it didn't. Because executives kept sticking their thumb up their ass and kept thinking that they were making something good. And when they found that they were being canceled, they wondered why. They probably wondered, oh, woe is me, we thought we had something good. And everyone behind the scenes was like, we're kind of glad that this happened because this show was so fucked over. Like, it's not like the voice actors had some say. I mean, I'm sure they tried, but they probably couldn't. I don't know if anyone like tried and put their foot down, or if they did and they were just like silenced. I don't know. I really don't know. But I think especially like big companies like Netflix and stuff, they have shows that are like, oh my god, it's so freaking good to have this show, and it's like Grey's Anatomy, Friends, The Office, and so forth. These animated shows are trying to do the same thing. You need to like put your be more lenient into some shows, because you could have the next Teen Titans, the next Adventure Time, the next Miraculous Ladybug, and other shows like that where people are talking about them and they have a fan base. Yes, this has a fan base, but it would have been like talked about for years and years. You know what this show has now? Here in 2020? It doesn't get talked about. When someone does talk about it, like, you have the little fans that are trying to say, hey, I actually like this. And when asked, they can't give an explanation, or they never get back to me, or it's like they have criticism for this show as well. Like, they wanted the show to be better. And guess what? It didn't. Because, you know, executives. I'm exhausted now. I took so long to try and make this and like to try and get my point across, because every time I would make this, it's so infuriating. Just from this, like, what information I got from this is so infuriating, and what we actually got. I'm sure like the people who are behind the scenes were just as pissed. And I'm sure they were just as pissed because they, like, this product that they had thought of is now gone and they can't do a thing about it. If this thing gets rebooted, I would suggest, like, take the original script, work off that. Because, like, do you see how angry, like, I'm getting because people want something more? If you're going to do a third season, be like, hey, let's do a little bit more. Get people invested. Maybe make this 26. Or hell, maybe make this, like, if we're doing, like, the 12 episodes, make these, like, hour-long specials. You know, because, like, some TV shows have done that, where, like, they're trying to not make a movie, but they just make it an hour-long special. They probably won't. If they do, color me shocked. But they're probably not. Thanks again for, like, 2 people that I keep forgetting their names. I can't remember names for shit. I'm sorry. The 2 people on screen here for actually, like, responding to me and also giving me questions to ask and, like, actually, like, trying to help me in this. I'm only one person, but at the same time, I have to, like, go through all of this and realize, like, how much a thing behind the scenes can be affecting a show to a T. It is currently almost 1 in the morning when I'm making this. I hope my parents don't come over. But for now, I leave you with this. And I leave you with all this information out in the world now. And I ask, can you really still say that this show is good now? Can you really say that what has been happening to the show is acceptable? What could have been is now acceptable for what we got? Oh, but they had to do with do. Yeah, they had to do with do. But guess what? When executives and everything from a big company put their foot down and change everything, something's not right. Something needs to be done. I don't know how many people left. I don't know how many people voiced their opinions. I know it was thrown to the wind. But in some scenarios, shit like this is not acceptable. It's not funny. It's not, pretty much you're ruining shit. Hope you have a good one. Have a good night, day, whatever. And I'll see you all next time.